Hello everyone, it's Pat at Beads and Plenty More, and today I'm going to show you how to make this crystal flower necklace. We have this unit as a kit, so in several different colors. The one that's finished here is the black and red, and I'm going to be making the purple and green. There's also a blue, and I believe there's a pink. So quite a few different colors to pick from. So this is a needle and thread project, so we haven't done too many of those, so let's get started on doing that. We're working with these rhinestone spacers that are domed and they have two holes, so that's our special little thing. And I'm going to use a fairly heavy fire line that if you don't have a heavy fire line like a 10-pound, then go ahead and use a double thread, but with a heavy one I can use just a single thread. So I'm going to go through the one side of these spacers and my crystal bicones. Again, when you're working with these spacers that are flat on the one side and domed on the other, you want to be sure you go through the same hole. Like you do a top hole, or you can do the bottom hole, will work too, but make sure it's always the same. So I'll go ahead and feed on this whole unit. So this is the very center of our necklace. Here we are. Okay, drop you down. Get the rest here. So because I want some of the thread for each side of the necklace, I'm going to center the pendant part on my thread, and then I'll leave the thread for doing each side of the necklace. Okay, so we'll just double check that we got all of these on the same direction, and yes we do. So I'll just join my two threads and bring this into the center. Now I have a little extra on this side because of the doubling, so I will push them a little bit to that way. Now once we get this circle done like so, make sure again that I've got all these the same direction, and yes I do. We'll bring this around, and I'm going to tie a knot to make this into a complete circle. And of course, always when you tie a knot, you want to do a couple of rounds to make sure that it holds. So I'll bring that up nice and snug, really tight, and do the second knot. And of course, anytime you're tying knots, you want to keep that knot tight as you bring in the second one. Kind of sneak it in there quick. Okay, so now we've got this completely around. Yeah, we'll just get my little spacers all facing right. And here's where my thread is and my needle. So now I want to go from the bottom of these spacers to the top to make my second round, which is the bigger ones on here. So here we are, and I'm going to go the opposite direction, which will bring things in tighter. So thread up to the upper part of my spacers. Oh, they do want to turn over. Come on, turn back. There we go. So now we're going to put two of these crystal beads in between each of the spacers going this direction to fill in the outer edge of the medallion in the middle there. Okay, two, and again all the way around. Okay, see there's a little bit of thread there, so I want to just give that a little pull to get rid of that thread, like that. Get that piece out of the way for now. And there we go. So some of these crystal beads are used as the part of the strand of the necklace too, so that's why we have so many of them here. Okay, and one more group and we're done. Bring that guy in tight. Now when we get the circle done, we're going to tie a knot again to complete this circle. And it's very important that we center the knot that we do this time so that it will sit nicely on the back and bring up our necklace here. That will become more apparent when I finish here. Okay, so we'll just get these two to go in, like so. Okay, so there's my center flower. Now I've got my two ends here, and I want them to sit on the center of this spacer bead so that both sides of the necklace will come up even. So when I tie the knot, I'm going to just try and place it right where I want it, right in there. Not too hard, but if you do have it off to the side, it doesn't look as nice. Okay, and second knot to finish that off. Again, make sure that it's nicely centered there. There we are. Now we're going to bring up the necklace part. But what I did to start with, I put one of these crystal rondelles, and I put both threads through to make a centerpiece there so that it will separate my two lines. So you can just feed that through. If you have two needles, you can work on each side, but generally you can do one side and then the other, and it works quite well. So there we are with our start of our necklace cord, and we're going to start by putting the seed beads, which I have a size 8 seed bead, and then I'm going to put 6 of those and then a middle spacer on each side of the crystal rondelles. So just do one here, and then I will finish and come back and show you how to do the clasp, but I'll do one unit of this first. So 6 seed beads. I go down to the center bead there, 1 metal spacer on each side of the crystal rondelle. Okay, and as I mentioned at the beginning, this is a kit, so if you wanted to purchase it as a kit, I believe we're going to have it as $9.99, and everything's included, thread, everything. So there's 6 seed beads again, and one more unit. We'll do a metal spacer, a crystal, and a metal spacer. So I will stop now and get this up to the point where we're going to do the clasp like we have on this one, and I'll show you how to do the clasp. Okay, so I'm back. I have all my beads strung onto my both sides, and as you can see, there's a few extra beads here. We've made the kit big enough in case somebody wants a little bit longer necklace, or if you want shorter, then you of course use less. So I'm going to take the one piece. I've got a toggle clasp that goes on this necklace. Take the one piece of the toggle with my needle and thread, and we're going to go through the toggle about 3 times to make sure that I've got a good hook on here. That's 2, and I'm going to draw this up so that it's close to the beads, and one more time. And then just to double check that we have no kinks, and actually it's also a good idea to go over your pattern and make sure there's no mistakes, because once you tie it off, then it's a little harder to fix because you have to rethread it. And most of us don't like doing the same thing twice. or maybe I should say most of us don't like to make mistakes, which is what it ends up being. So I'm going to pull that, I've come back into my beads, and I'm going to pull that nice and snug. Now I'm going to do an overhand or a slip knot that is a typical way of tying off thread. So I'll go under my work and in through this loop that I create, and we'll bring that down in between the two beads there. Nice and tight. Give it a good pull. And we want to do that about 3 times to make sure we get, we don't have a knot that'll slip out on us. So again, under, through, and just drop that down just so that it sits right in between those 2 beads. Just like that. Tighten that up so there's no gap. And then I'll do one more. Go down. These big beads are a little bit easier to do the knot beside because there's a little more space. So we'll just run the thread down. Even if you do need to use the extra 2 beads, the crystals and the extra length, there still should be lots of thread for doing this. So in between. And once again, remind you, don't forget to center your pendant before you start doing the sides. So then I'm going to go ahead and cut away this excess thread. And one way to cut thread that I find works really well, take your scissors sideways down and pull tight and then nip your thread off. That way you're not cutting in and potentially cutting your thread of the necklace part. Okay, so the same thing on the other side. We'll finish that and I'll take a picture to show you. And again, if you're interested in any of these kits, they're going to be $9.99. And I've got the purple and green, I've got the black and red, there's some blue and I believe pink, and there's another kind of red that is more of a red and gray together. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.